Alright guys, so I'm going to review Chapter 3, Learning Objective 4, Individual Factors that Affect Your Stress Response. Explain the key individual factors that may influence whether or not a person is able to cope with stress. That's the learning objective, okay? Stress can come from many different sources, whether it's your school, your family, your friends, and those are uh, the individual factors, which we call baggage. Okay. In turn, when we have too much stress, it lowers our self-esteem. We tend to have negative appraisal of ourselves. We tend to have we lack self-compassion. We have narcissistic tendencies, and we have difficult coping mechanisms with ourselves. Appraisal. Many times, our appraisal of life's demand does not meet the demand themselves, results in experiences of stress. Okay, so if you're not cutting your daily stress, you're gonna get, you're gonna, you're not meeting your own appraisal. Okay, self-esteem refers to your sense of self-worth, how you judge yourself in comparison to others. Okay, low self-esteem can mean that you put yourself down, and it can be an indication of a suicidal ideation. Okay, certain jobs can be stressful, especially when those are high stakes. Let's say, for example, you uh, get married, you have kids, and you have to provide for your family. You have to provide food, water, shelter, pay taxes, bills, medical bills, anything, everything the child has to, or the family. Whether you have one kid or you have a family of three or five, but having to pay for everything, it's just a lot. It's very expensive, and it's a very high stakes. Okay. Research has shown that people with high levels of confidence in their skill and ability cope with life's challenges. That's self-efficacy. It's important to the personality traits that influence psychological and physiological stress responses. So that's basically your body's ability, your your own ability to tell yourself that you can make it, you can think about it, and you can, when you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. Type A in personalities and Type B. It's no surprise that personalities can have an impact whether you are happy or socially well adjusted. Okay. In 1974, Friedman and Rosenbaum published a book indicated that Type A individuals had a great risk of heart disease due to increased physiological reactivity and prolonged activation of the stress response, including increased heart rate and blood. Type A personalities have historically defined as hard-driving, competitive, time-driven perfectionists. In contrast, type B personalities are described as being relaxed, non-competitive, and more tolerant of others. Susan Kobas in the 70s noted that people who were super stressed didn't have the negative consequences one might expect. She aptly described the psychological hardiness, indicating that hardy individuals were unique in their control, commitment, and willingness to embrace the challenges. So, quite frankly, they don't seem to care about their stresses. The individuals that are psychologically resilient, a dynamic process in which people exposed to such adversity, tragedy, or trauma, they're the ones that could pretty much tolerate it and take it. These are high achieving thrivers, often demonstrate number one, a positive and proactive personality, two, experience learning and history, three, a sense of control, flexibility, and adaptability. Newer research has focused their attention on whether or not factors contribute to thriving resilience despite stress, grit, a combination of passion and perseverance for a single particular goal. So, in other words, the grit means that they have it. They're perseverant. Type A and a toxic core. In contrast, some Type A people exhibit a toxic core, that is, they demonstrate a proportionate amount of anger, distrust, and a cynical glass half empty approach to life. And that would be considered hostile. Okay? They have an increased rate of heart disease and a host of other health issues. Type C personalities have been described as those who stuff their emotions and are stoically deny thoughts, controversy, and appear calm even though they might be in turmoil inside. Type D personality is characterized by constantly worried, irritable, negative, and tends to be socially isolated. Although the personality has linked to increased risk, more high quality research is necessary to support these relationships. Okay, Some people who face extreme poverty, abuse, and speaking limiting conditions are known to grow up and to seem to thrive despite bleak conditions. The shift and persist strategies are amongst the most recently identified factors that protect against the negative effects of stress in our lives. So they're pretty much dodging their problems. 43% of adults in Americans report that they're constant checkers of their emails and texts and social media. Okay? 43% of adults report that they're constant checkers. That's a stressor right there, that you're just checking your email, your texts. And not necessarily checking your electronics for your work, it's just checking your electronics just to see who's online. 32% of students report that stress, 25% anxiety, and 21% indicated that sleep difficulties were giving them a hard time studying. So once again, 32% stress, 25% anxiety, 21% sleeping difficulties were affecting their learning abilities. Okay, thank you.